So the question was for families that have been doing telehealth and doing telehealth exclusively because of someone who's immune compromised in the home, is because the question was for someone who's fairly little, that their hours would be 40 hours a week, but they have not been getting quite that much telehealth, and they want advice about should they still be going for the full amount of therapy, even if they can only do telehealth right now. And I was like, well, that's a question for Evelyn. So there you go.
Well, there's so many factors involved because we all know the research shows that high intensity of hours is what makes a difference, you know? So always that's going to be the leading force, is that's the ideal. If we can get as many hours as possible so that every waking hour that child's awake is he's actually learning, just like a neurotypical kid, you know, every waking moment they are learning something, whether they're at school, home, anywhere. So that is the ideal. And then you have other issues that come along. And I would say this is something that you would have to talk to your BCBA about in terms of your treatment planning, because you have to see what are you doing and what is this child? What problems does this child have? What deficits in what they're learning are still going to be a problem? You know, there's all different kinds of kids. That's why it's a spectrum. So some kids have trouble with generalization. And I think those are the kids actually, is what type of trouble do they have with generalization? So generalization is being able to understand something across all different contexts. So in the ABA world, that could be across different people, different places, different stimuli, saying things a different way. You know, all those things are needed for a child to be able to learn anywhere, which is the goal. And so you need to sit with your BCBA and say, okay, how is he doing? What's he learning? What area is missing? And if, let's say your area is that he's starting to only interact with the parent or only interact with people through a screen, then that's going to raise flags, because as soon as the center does open, you might want to consider having that child go maybe. And right now in our centers that are open, they're going to it's only one child per room. They're having very minimal contact. They have the one therapist, you know, so the kids aren't actually allowed to play together. We have X's on the ground that shows what 6 feet apart is. So the games that they have are 6 feet apart. None of them are close, you know. So it is a little bit odd, and it's not your typical what you're thinking what center-based services are. But work with your BCBA to figure out, like, how is this child learning? Is generalization fine? And none of those things seem to be issues. And through telehealth, it's okay. But also in your programming, let's say he's gotten used to his therapist through telehealth, and you need generalization across people so that he knows he needs to show these skills with other people. You might start on the side, start bringing in, like, hey, we need more family members to get on Zoom and do some interaction, you know, like we need grandma and grandpa, and we need everybody, not only people he knows. We need mom and dad's friends to come on. And even if it's only for a minute or two, the fact that they have to interact with someone new is often, that's what's good for them. And if the way to do it right now is through telehealth, then you need to do some creative programming with your BCBA and figure out, like, who is willing to come on, or even trying to do a play date across Zoom has been fun for the little kids, where, you know, all they're really doing is showing each other toys. And then they sit, like, literally the iPad is with them on the ground and they're both playing Legos together, you know, and they're just learning how to show. So there's a lot of creativity that you can do with the telehealth mode. And if you can get 40 hours that way and bring all those sessions where, let's say you're doing a play date and you have a therapist monitored play date, you know, to see what you make, you know, prompting the child to interact with the other child on the screen, you know, even if it's just to show, because just showing a toy is a big milestone in development. The fact that I'm showing you something and I don't need you to do anything with it, it's a big type of social recognition, you know? So, you know, there's a lot of things that you can do. So maybe in the basic format that you have, if there isn't enough variety, you're going to have to brainstorm with your BCBA about how can we increase this variety for generalization.
And, you know, I've noticed, Evelyn, that as we talk to the parents about telehealth, it's, you know, there are several different modalities for the telehealth as well, depending on the ability of the child. But I'm also seeing that there's a huge difference between the parents who get excited and what I call buy-in. When the parent is, because what we've heard from some of the parents is that they started doing telehealth and their kiddo needed significant support, so they became the facilitator. That's one of the models where the parent is there, and the parent doesn't have to know anything because they're being prompted by the person on the screen, but the parent has to do things with their child. And what I'm hearing overwhelmingly from the parents who participate in that they're like, whoa, I am learning so much, that this ended up being the best thing that could have happened to us, because now I know more and I understand what the therapists are doing. And that for those parents, when they're doing that level of telehealth and the parent is facilitating, we're seeing those kids make tremendous progress. For the parents who maybe have to work and they're like, I just can't do it, that's not the level of telehealth that they're getting. And then they want to look at some other things. But there are some parents, I'm so proud of them that they've stepped it up and then they got excited, which is really cool. And I think is a measure of how great they are and how great the staff is, that they're able to help a parent to be able to do that. So it's just been really cool to see what the parents have said about that. I absolutely love it.
Hey, thanks for watching Autism Live. To subscribe, click here. And if you'd like to check out some more of our videos, click here.